Yo, what's going on, guys? It's your boy MidnightMan, and I'm bringing you guys another tutorial, and today I'm going to show you guys how to make a really attractive looking thumbnail. So that's one of the important parts of YouTube when you're doing it. You want to have something that stands out to people when they're trying to look for videos on the internet. And what better way to do that than having a really awesome thumbnail? So the thumbnail I'll be showing you guys today is this one, the episode 26 of one of my Call of Duty episodes. This one pretty much covers all the bases that I go through on making a thumbnail. I'll show you guys a little bit of the extra stuff that I won't add to the final thumbnail, just so you guys have a better rounding of what you guys can do within Photoshop. And you can also use things like GIMP and PixLR on the internet. So just use some of those things. They won't probably work as well as Photoshop, but they'll be close, and you can do something with them just to make some sort of attractive looking thumbnail. So keep all that in mind, and let's get into this. So to get things started, what I usually do is I start in my video editing software, which is Sony Vegas Pro 12, and I'll have my clips laid out. I have the face cam here with the audio, along with the gameplay itself down here, and with its audio as well. And usually with this, I end up taking the audio out of my face cam anyways, because I have a mic that I use, which is the Blue Yeti, so I won't need the face cam audio because that's usually a bit louder and brighter and more atmospheric, I guess you could say. So now what I want to do to begin making my really awesome thumbnail, I want to look for a good part within the face cam that is kind of exciting. So let's just look around here for a good part, and yeah, this looks like a good part here. It looks like I'm happy that I did something, like I'm triumphant or something to that effect. So this is probably a good one that I could use to put in that thumbnail, right? So let's save it. I'm gonna like basically take a screenshot of it pretty much, but it's within the editing software here. So I have that. Then usually at the end of when I'm actually editing this, I'll crop this down by using the crop tool over here. I'm not going to try to make this a video editing tutorial, but just so you guys are aware of kind of the stuff I do, I usually just crop that down and then I throw it in the corner. Like, I'm not going to keep it that size, but see how there's stuff on the left here that I don't usually want in my own face cam? I can use that masking tool down over here, and then I can just just put out what I want of the face cam so I don't have everything in there. See how that looks much better? I'll probably crop that, not crop it down more, but shrink it up a little more just so you guys can see more of the gameplay later. But that's just a gist of some of the things I do within the editing software. So now if we move to the gameplay, I'm actually going to mute this, and then I'll scroll down into somewhere in this gameplay here. And I want to find an exciting part within the gameplay that would be pretty cool to have in the thumbnail. So you just kind of got to skip around and look and see where a good part is. Alright, so skipping around here a little bit, it looks like this part's kind of cool because it has an explosion looking part here when I'm shooting the gun at this guy. So I will screenshot that. I'll save snapshot to file like that. So then it'll screenshot what I have there, just like that. So now I have those two images that I will use for the baseline of my entire thumbnail. So now I will move to Photoshop CS6, which is what I have right here, and I will open the original file of the gameplay, not the face cam, but the gameplay, because that will basically, I'm using that as my background basically. So that's what I want to open for the beginnings of making this thumbnail. So I will just find that. Alright, so I found the photo here, so I'll just get that into my canvas, and now that looks pretty cool so far. But I don't want to have everything in this thumbnail that you see, like the map and the score and all the kind of stuff over here. So I'm just going to crop it down and make it a little bit less, I guess, junky. So I'm just going to put it to where I want. And this part's kind of important. You want to have your frames over here to 1280 by 720. And you just want it to be fixed like that, because that's what YouTube likes. They like 1280 by 720. That's the HD for videos, and it's also the correct format for thumbnails. So after that, I'm just going to pretty much crop this down a bit. Move it over here. I can still see a little bit of the score streaks and that, but since I know I'm bringing in the face cam, I'm just going to position this over here like so. And that looks pretty good. I like that. I like where it is. And then we'll just cancel out of the crop. So that's pretty good for the crop. Now I'm going to open up the face cam, which is in the same folder, my snapshots from Vegas. And here it is. Alright, so that looks pretty cool. Now I want to use the magnetic lasso tool so that I can just basically draw around my entire image here. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. Now I will seal this completely, and now it's completely surrounded by this mask. So once I'm at this part, I can now do Control C, which copies that mask that I have, and then I will go back to my original image canvas here for my thumbnail, and then I will Control V it to paste, and then I will Control T, which is the free transform, so that then I can control how big the image is going to be on this thumbnail. So I'm just gonna maybe make it a little bit bigger like that, and put it on the side a little bit there. So that looks pretty decently good, if I could say so myself. All right, so you could probably look at this and tell that it looks a little bit rough. So one thing that I do to clean it up a bit is that I'll do Control plus, like I'll just keep pressing Control and the plus button on my keyboard to zoom in on it, just so I can get the eraser tool. And then if I'm selected on that layer, I should be still, I will then just clean it up a little bit. I'll make sure that my hardness is pretty decent, not too hard, but like somewhere in the middle there. And then I'll just go around it and just clean it up a bit, just to make it look a little bit nicer, so that it actually looks like a thumb instead of like a blob, like a spiky blob. Just cleaning it up there a little bit, and you just want to go around the image just so it looks pretty good. See, I'm just gonna like erase a little bit there, so I can make it look nicer. So just go around your image and do that.
I don't know how I got here. I've cried too many tears. I never wanted to be this way.
Alright, so this looks pretty good, a lot smoother than it originally was. There are small little problems within this photo, but those are some things you can just leave alone, because on a thumbnail, if someone's looking really, really hard, then maybe they'll be able to see it, but who's really taking their time out of their day to look really hard at thumbnails to see for small little errors? Like as you can see down here, the mask wasn't perfect whenever I was going through it, because you can see like a little bit of disconnect there. But if you back out of it, you hardly can notice it. You have to look close at it to like actually see it and see that there's like a small little mistake in there. But things like that you can probably leave alone, unless you're really nitpicky about it. Then you can redo the mask, but not everybody has time for that. So to continue on this, what I usually like to do is I'll put my Call of Duty logo up here. So what I do is I go on Google, and then you can just type in Call of Duty Black Ops 2 logo PNG, because that's the kind of file that we're looking for, so it is transparent. And then you will see all the images here that you can use. And since normally the Call of Duty logo was white, like white grayish, this is the one here that you probably want to use. You can use the other ones if you want, but this is the one I got. And what you can do is you can right click it, and then you can actually save image as, and then just save it wherever in your photos that you'll be able to find it later. So once you have done that, you can go back to Photoshop or whatever you're using, File, Open, and then look for that image that you just saved of the logo. So here it is for me. I'm going to open that up. And now I will take the select tool over here, this square box, and then I will just highlight all of it, and then I will Control C it to copy it, and then I will go back to my canvas pretty much over here and Control V to paste it, and then I will Control T to free transform it so I can control it the way I want. So, I mean, it already looks pretty decent, the sizing of it actually. So we might be able to leave it. And that looks pretty good. And then the last thing I usually do is that I add the number of this episode. And this is episode 26, I'm pretty sure. This is going to be episode 26. And we'll just put that in there. Actually, that's not the right font that I usually use. I use Feast of Flesh. If you guys would like to download this for free, there will be a link in the description below for you to download it off thefont.com. I use Feast of Flesh as well as Comics Loud. Those are like the two main fonts that I use. I also got some new ones like Simple Slum, but they're all on thefont.com, and I'll put some links in the description below for you guys to check out. So now that number looks pretty small. It'll be pretty hard for people to see it. So I'll Control T that. Just make sure you're on the right layer, which is the text layer there. And then I will hold Shift to keep the format of it. And then I will just pull it out. So make sure you hold Shift so that it doesn't get all wacky like this. So you want to keep it the same. And I Control Z it to put it back into place. But just hold Shift to keep it and get it to a size that I like right here. And that's a pretty good size. People will be able to notice that it's episode 26 if they care. And then after that, that's pretty much set. So I have like the baseline of how I want everything to look. Now, you could have a finished Photoshop picture here, but it doesn't look that great. You gotta add that extra to it. So I will start off with the number 26, and I will go to blending options by right-clicking on that layer. And then I will go to gradient overlay. Now with this, I made a special gradient for myself, which is this one, but you guys can make it as well. Just use one of the presets over here. You can click that, click one of the colors here on the left or right, and then just click the color. Then you can just pick a color here, like it doesn't really, you can play with it for a little bit, like you can use red. You just gotta pick the colors you want, and over here you can change that white to maybe a green if you want it. That's a different kind of color. But that's pretty much how you do it. And then you can just select new, and then that makes a new custom preset over there for you. But I don't really want it, so I'll delete it. That was just an example for you guys. But the one I usually do is this one here, as I made it myself. And then I'll just click OK, because that's the gradient I want. And then I'll choose a stroke as well to give it that, like, kind of make it stand out a little more. And then I'll increase the stroke a bit, so that'll be a good border for it. And that looks pretty good. So now I want to do that as well for that Call of Duty. So I want to select the layer over here to my right, which is the Call of Duty Black Ops 2 layer, the transparent image that we got. I want to do the same thing. I want to go into blending options by right-clicking on that layer. And then I won't go with gradient this time, but what I want to do is I'll do outer glow. And then with that, I'll choose normal, and then I will choose the black color, and that kind of brings it out a little more, but it's a little bit more subtle than the stroke was. So then I'll just increase the size, maybe I'll increase the spread just a little bit. So then it's kind of just on the page instead of just having a thick background, like a thick border to it. So then it just stands out a little more that way. So now you can clearly see that it is a Call of Duty Black Ops 2 game without having to put a thick border around it. So this kind of, it's just a little bit more laid back. Alright, so that looks pretty good so far. Now I will do my own face cam image. And with that, I'm going to head over to image up here, and then I will go to adjustments, and then brightness and contrast. So I'm looking a little dark right now, even though I'm naturally dark, ha ha ha. But I'll increase the brightness a little bit, like so. Increase the contrast a little bit, just to make myself stand out a little bit more and not be so dark. Alright, there we go. That looks pretty good. And with that, I will then right click on that layer of my face, go to blending options, and then with this I'll do another outer glow. This time I will keep my preset that I have. I have a screen and it's white, and then I will just increase the spread here a little bit just to give myself a little bit of a border to myself, like that. So that looks pretty good, as you can see, like that. Alright, so now the last part we want to do is the background image itself. And what we're going to do, we're going to head over to image again. Then we're going to do brightness and contrast. And this time, it's a little bit bright in Call of Duty, surprisingly. And then we're going to increase that contrast a little bit. Maybe it won't be so dark or so bright, but like that. And you can increase the contrast. Now we bring out some of those colors in the back, but we want to bring them out a little more. So we're going to go back to image adjustments. Then we're going to go to hue and saturation. And then we're going to just bring out those colors a little bit. We don't want super like crazy, but just bring them out a little bit more by going a little bit of saturation here. Like so. So that looks pretty nice, guys. A lot better than just something boring or just a random screenshot that YouTube selected from your video. So this looks pretty nice. There's some other extra things you can do with this photo if you want. Let's say you want this whole background image to be blurry. Then you can go to filter, blur, and I usually do the Gaussian or Gaussian, whatever you call it. And then you can actually blur that image in the background. And that actually looks pretty cool too. You can blur it as much as you want. Like that. If you want to blur your image a bit. That looks cool actually. But I usually like to keep things fresh for Call of Duty. I mean, I don't know. The blur looks actually pretty cool, but that's another thing you guys can do to work with your image. And you can also add saturation if you want it to the face cam itself a little bit. Maybe you want it to be a little bit more brighter, or maybe you want it to have some little more colors to it, so you can do what I did for the background to increase the saturation. But guys, that's pretty much how you do it. That's a good thumbnail that looks pretty appealing to people, and it'll make you stand out a little bit more. I guess one other thing I could show you is some people like to add gradients to the actual background itself. Let's say you want to put things over it, then you can add gradient to it. Like I clicked on the gradient option over here to the left, and I can just choose a gradient that I might have. Let's say we like rainbows and butterflies and whatever. We can just pull it out a little bit, and look at that. We have a rainbow background. How cool is that, guys? That is awesome. So I don't know, hope you guys learned something from this. If you did, hit the like button, because yeah, these are good thumbnails you guys can use whenever you guys are trying to make videos and you want your content to stand out a little bit more. So anyways, guys, that's the end of the video. Hopefully you guys learn how to make a pretty cool thumbnail with whatever program you use. I highly suggest you get Photoshop, but it's a bit expensive, or you can go through other special means to get it, which I really can't tell you, but you can figure that out for yourself. Just do some quick searches how to get some things for free. But besides all that, yeah, that's it, guys. This is pretty cool. So I'll see you guys in my next video. Peace out.